Hello and welcome to another lecture of the course Aquaculture. Today we are going to discuss about nutritional and feeding strategies in aquaculture. Now the question comes in our mind that if we are going to start aquaculture, uh, what is the need of making these strategies with regard to nutritional and feeding, and why we are talking, separately about this? This is because when we are doing aquaculture, and if we wish to produce more biomass, make it profitable, economically viable, sustainable culture practice, then we should take care of all the aspects of aquaculture, whether it is related to seed production, seed availability at the time desired by you. We should also take care about feed. We should also take care about water quality. We should also take care about health of the fishes, and ultimately the getting marketable size and harvesting the produce to sell into the market easily. But among all these aspects, feed is most concerning. Why? Because if you will calculate the cost you are putting in for aquaculture, then feed accounts for the largest input cost. About 50 to 70% you will find in many of the aquaculture practices. Sometimes in some references you will see even 80% of the total input cost. Why this is so much? Because you have to feed the fish daily. You have to feed the fish nutritionally balanced diet because you are doing it commercially for some purpose. Then you have to feed the fish in a very responsible manner so that your aquatic ecosystem is not um, getting the organic load or the water quality is deteriorated. That everything is to be taken care of. So when your total 50 to 70% of your total input cost is from the feed, then we need to have certain strategies to get most of it. So what we should ideally have, because if we are having good nutritional and feeding strategies, then profit of our aquaculture operation or economic viability of our aquaculture operation will be very good. In fact, these nutritional and feeding strategies are often considered as the main drivers for getting good economic returns. I will explain you how. Ideally we are having um, the condition that if we are providing food to the fishes in our pond, that food should have all the nutrients required by that particular candidate fish species in the feed, and that feed should also be palatable to the candidate species that should like to feed on that should be, there should be enough feed attractability towards that candidate fish species. I will explain all this in later of the slides. And we should also expect ideally that whatever feed we are putting in into the system, that is only that much whatever is really required by the fish population within the aquatic system or water body or pond, and we are not putting in any extra feed. Putting in extra feed means putting in more money and spoiling the water. And ideally we should also expect that whatever feed, nutritionally balanced feed that you have put in into the pond, that is being consumed by the fish completely, almost, and it should be consumed before there is enough nutrient leaching from the feed, before the nutrient quality of the feed is adversely affected, because you are putting feed into the water. So there will be nutrient leaching, the nutrient quality will be compromised. So before that, everything is consumed. And we should also expect ideally that the feed which we are putting in into the pond, the utilization of that feed is almost complete. And also, the feed which you have provided to the fish is showing excellent conversion efficiency. Means the food you are giving to the fish is converted into the flesh with utmost efficiency. So all these are considerations. If you wish that these ideal conditions, you get you reach somewhere near to these conditions, then you will have to, stick to some kind of strategies for getting excellent quality, good quality fish, having excellent protein profile, amino acid profile, and good profits also. So that if you are sticking to nutritional and feeding strategies, not only your profits will increase, the flesh quality of the fish will also be very good, and water quality will also be not adversely impacted. So take one by one. What are different steps within the nutritional strategies that we should take into account, we should consider? One, assessment of species and life stage specific nutrient requirement of the candidate fish species. Whichever candidate fish species you are selecting for aquaculture, try to look for the nutrient requirement studies, that what are requirement of that candidate fish species for specific nutrients. For example, say how much protein is needed, how much fat is needed, what are different levels of vitamins, minerals, different kind of vitamins and different kind of minerals, all this, and total energy, what is required, and all these nutrient requirement level should be known in order to get better result. So why this is so? Because nutrient requirement of the fish species not only varies with the species, but it also varies with life stages. I can explain you why. Because when the fishes are very young, in the initial stages, we all know that there is very rapid growth. And whether you take case of any animal, you take case of even human beings, in the initial stages, there is, plenty of nutrient requirements, and the growth is quite faster. So to achieve that growth, to keep pace with that life stage, the optimal growth and optimal dietary nutrient and energy requirement of the body, you will have to provide nutrient required for that specific life stage. Because for that specific life stage, young fish, for example, fry stage, the nutrient requirement is totally different from the adult stage. And also, again, broodstock stage of the fish is having entirely different dietary nutrient requirement. So go for what is required. Why feed anything which is not required, or which is you are feeding, say for example, the nutrient which is required, you are providing suboptimal levels, or you are exceeding the levels, thereby increasing the cost of your feed. So you will have to stick to a range. What is required, you are providing within that range. So in order to make profitable culture practice. And species specific, of course, you cannot feed every species with the same kind of diet, with the same kind of nutrient profile diet. So that should be assessed. Then proper diet formulation. It's not like whatever feed ingredient you get, you go and put into the pond and the fish will eat. No, it's not like you will have to provide things separately. Say, for example, one day you have rice bran, another day you are having wheat bran, and you next day you got from somewhere oil cake, or simply you got some corn meal or something which was left over, and you just process it and put it into the pond. Fish will eat and grow. No, because that is not the requirement. That is not matching the requirement of the fish species. So you will have to formulate diet with the help of whatever feed ingredients are available, locally available in your area, and they are abundantly available, so that you get the year-round supply of those feed ingredients. They are cost effective, and you have the nutrient profile which you are looking for. By blending many of the feed ingredients, you get that profile in case of fishes. And there are very easy methods nowadays available, where you put in your data and you get how much of protein you will get from that ingredient. Suppose you have selected 4 ingredients or 5 ingredients to prepare your diet. You just put in their profile, the approximate composition or nutrient profile of those ingredients, and do a little bit of calculations. Or nowadays with softwares also, it is possible. So do some kind of calculation, then you will get that how much of which nutrient. Say for example, A, B, C, and D, 4 nutrients you have selected. So how much of A is needed, how much of B is needed, how much of C is needed, how much of D is needed in order to get a protein. Say for example, you are looking for 30% crude protein diet. So to achieve 30% crude protein level in your feed, how much of which ingredient you will have to add. 30% crude protein, I have just said that maybe fat level also you will fix vitamin level, mineral level. So you will get these things from the new feed ingredients, and then maybe you can supplement it with some mineral premix or vitamin premix. Then your diet will be complete. So proper diet formulation should be there. It should not be random. The appropriate choice of feed ingredients. As I told you, that feed ingredients play a very important role in improving the quality of the feed prepared, and that will of course determine the viability, economic viability of your culture practice. So feed ingredients should be chosen on the basis of, I told you that they should be locally available. They should have nutrient profile which may help you in formulating the diet for the fish. There may be some energy rich feed ingredients. There may be some protein rich feed ingredients. You can have a blend of many feed ingredients in order to prepare the diet. They should be cost effective, and usually we should try to include only those feed ingredients in preparing fish feed which are not directly consumed by humans. We should avoid using those ingredients as in fish feed which may be directly consumed by humans. They may give better results, but you can always look for some alternative. And there are many examples where people have worked out for the alternative. For example, in my own PhD experiment, what we did, we have successfully replaced fish meal completely in the diets of Labiorota, and that you can see in that was published in Aquaculture Nutrition. Now, feed ingredient and feed processing to reduce the impact of ANFs, anti-nutritional factors. It's always advisable that whichever feed ingredient you are choosing, you must have an idea that what kind of profile it is having. Not only in terms of nutrients, but also in terms of if any anti-nutritional factors are present. So if any anti-nutritional factors are present, then it is our responsibility to get rid of that ANFs or anti-nutritional factors, or at least minimize them to as much as possible. So doing that, for example, I can just give you some example. Actually, the plant proteins or plant products are having one or the other ANFs. There are varieties of ANFs they can have. Now, you can take an example of mustard oil cake. We all are familiar with the pungent smell and the kind of repelling smell that mustard is having. That is true for fishes also. And if you are using oil cake, which is quite rich in protein of mustard or rapeseed, and using that as an ingredient in your fish feed, then if you are doing it unprocessed, untreated, then that may act as repellent and your fish may not consume the diet which you have prepared from untreated or unprocessed mustard oil cake. So usually what people do, people, they just, soak it overnight or something that you will have to standardize according to the ingredient you are having and the region where you are doing it. So a little processing of the ingredients can make them better, or can make the nutrients better available to the candidate species. So you will have to take care of that thing also. And if you are using such kind of things, and there are many other examples that I can give, but the point you have to note here is that your feed should have all the nutrients in easily available form. So if you are providing it to the fish, they should be easily available. The feed should have good digestibility. And all these factors, if you are taking care, then you will get good result. Then selection of appropriate feed type for efficient feed utilization. I told you that when we are putting feed in water, to feed fish, you will have to put your feed in water. And when the water feed is immersed in water that has been put in the water, then it is exposed to water from all the sides. What will happen? Nutrient leaching may start. So the quality of the feed may go on decreasing as it remains for longer period of time in the water. That is one point. So water stability, you should take care that binding and of the ingredients in the feed, and the water stability of the diet should be calculated first. Then feed type. What kind of feed you are putting in? Say for example, you are culturing katla katla. Katla katla, we all know that katla is surface feeder. Katla is surface feeder. And if you are providing them with fast sinking diet, what will be the result? The result will be katla will not show growth. The feed will not be properly utilized, right? And there will be a lot of feed wastage. So you are putting in food, but it is only waste of money, and putting in more contaminants into your water aquatic system, ultimately deteriorating the water quality and putting the fish under stress. So the feed type you will have to select according to the candidate species or fish species you are stocking. Then the optimal feeding strategies. These we were discussing were in terms of nutritional strategies, what we should do. And in the feeding strategies, optimal feeding strategies maximize growth and conversion efficiency while ensuring fish health and minimizing stress. The effectiveness of farms feeding approach often determines the difference between profit and loss that I have already explained. That if you are having good nutritional and feeding strategies, your aquaculture practice will be a profitable venture. And if we are having good feeding strategies, your feed is okay, ready. But if you are not having good strategies to feed, how much and how to feed, and what at what time to feed, how many times in a day to feed. So if you are not having all these understanding, then your taking care of nutritional strategies becomes useless. So both these should be taken in combination in order to get good profit. Supply of inputs, whether you feed or fertilizers, here it is written because we are seeing in our country mostly supplementary feeding or semi-intensive aquaculture practice is quite common in India. So these inputs, fertilizers, are also meant to increase the natural food productivity. So we have taken them as input because that will also incur some cost. Has to be ensured so that the nutrients and energy requirement of these species. Of course, when we need good production, then we need to provide them food. Whether you are providing feed directly or you are providing feed indirectly by putting in nutrients and getting live feed production within the pond. Complete data on nutrient requirement are only available for a limited number of species. When we are saying complete data, it doesn't mean that only on crude protein or crude fat or dietary protein and lipid requirements and carbohydrate utilization are relatively well investigated for several fish species. Since these nutritional studies are being undertaken for quite long. But still, we, as far as micronutrients are concerned, as far as the essential amino acids are concerned, fatty acids are concerned, different a variety of minerals are concerned, vitamins are concerned, we are not having complete nutrient requirement for all the fish species which may have the potential for aquaculture. But at least we can say here at this point of time that for almost all the cultivable fish species which are now being cultured successfully, we are having for almost all of them almost complete profile. And there are certain limitations, but people are still working, and maybe those gaps will also be filled. And as we are talking, you will get some more data on these aspects. Growth, health, and reproduction of fish and other aquatic animals are primarily dependent on adequate supply of nutrient. That we have already discussed. That if we are not getting nutritionally balanced diet, if you are not getting, optimal portions of your food or your diet in not optimal frequencies, then growth and reproduction, maturity, everything will be impacted. The success of aquaculture depends on several factors that we have already discussed. We need to have good nutritional and feeding strategies for the success of our aquaculture practice. I have just tried to show you here one table where you are getting the nutrient requirements of freshwater fishes from NRC 2011. NRC provides most authentic document regarding nutrient requirements of different fishes. You can visit, you can have this reference, you can get latest references from NRC, latest update on nutrient profile, and you can use that accordingly. Here, for example, Cyprinus carpio, Labiorota, and Oreochromis tilapia has been shown. Digestible protein percent, how much it is needed in case of Cyprinus carpio, 32%, rohu 32%, tilapia only 29%. And accordingly, other things, not only energy here it is provided, but different amino acids, arginine, histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, methionine plus cysteine, phenylalanine, and phenylalanine plus tyrosine, tryptophan, valine. There are certain essential amino acids where sparing effect is also seen. So that's why you see methionine has been shown separately also, as well as methionine has been shown along with cysteine. So requirement of protein and energy for different groups of fishes. Here you can see this is, at least you must have information on digestible protein percent and digestible energy which is required by your candidate fish species. Here you can see here the profile is given for Atlantic salmon, common carp, rohu, tilapia, catfish, hybrid striped bass, rainbow trout, Pacific salmon. So I told you that the more popular cultivable fishes or commercially important aquatic organisms which are being cultivated, for them we are having good information on nutrient requirements, but still we need to work for more. That will help us to identify more and more new candidate species for aquaculture. Nutrient requirement for marine fish. You can see here that we are having information on sea bass, we are having information on cobia, then European sea bass, Japanese flounder, grouper, red drum, yellowtail. We are having information on these, and if we take these data into consideration while formulating diet for these specific fishes, then of course our aquaculture practice will be very profitable and it will be economically viable. Recommended dietary protein level for different marine fishes. Here you can see, the kind of gaps, that research gaps that we are talking. And digestible protein for all, but as far as these amino acids, essential amino acids are concerned, you will not find all the essential amino acids in. But that is not the case now. We are having, for many species, we are having essential amino acid requirement, but still we have a long way to go, and we need to work on more and more species in order to diversify the aquaculture practice and make it more profitable. Nutrient requirements of marine shrimp. We are having nutrient requirements of marine shrimp also. We know that these are white shrimp and tiger shrimp. They are very popular now. Kuruma prawn, fleshy prawn, and now that was what is needed and what is available and how we should proceed. But now, what are the existing feeding strategies that we are having in actual practice? The food and feeding of farm fish and shrimp can be viewed at four basic levels of input: no fertilizer or feed input. That was, I told you in extensive aquaculture that we are not providing any food from outside. So the aquatic organisms, they depend only on the food available within the aquatic system. So that is the condition here in the first point. Second point, fertilization, chemicals applied to increase the production of live food. Here we do fertilization when the fishes are depending only on the natural food which can be produced in the pond. But to produce the natural feed, we provide fertilizers, organic manures and all. So that kind of input. Then the input where we have to add feed from outside, exogenous supplementary diet is needed. And this supplementation is done for not only fishes but for shrimps also. And when you are doing supplementation, that means you are depending on live feed. But when that live feed is not enough, you have increased the stocking density of fish in your pond. Then for increased stocking density, for increased number of fishes, live feed is not sufficient. So we have to add some more feed from outside. Exogenous supplementary feeding should be carried out in order to catch up the diet feed requirement of the cultivable fish species. Now, after that, complete diet feeding. I told you that when we go on increasing the stocking density, or in other terms, when you go on intensifying the aquaculture practice, then you cannot depend on natural food supply, because you are putting in so many fishes in the pond. You are increasing the stocking density at such a level that there will not be possibility of natural food production. And if you provide manure and fertilizer into that, then that will deteriorate the water quality. Ultimately, there may be water quality problems that may challenge the survival of your candidate fish species. In such a cases, what we do, we manage water quality separately to strictly within the optimal range of all the water quality parameters, and we provide feed, exogenous feed supply from outside. Of course, complete diet is supplied from outside. We do not depend on that. And when we are saying complete diet, that means that complete diet should also take care of all the nutrient requirements of the fish species. So when the complete diet is well balanced, nutritionally balanced, then the culture practice becomes more profitable.